Hey everyone, welcome back to Tea and Therapy. So I do apologise for the fact that it's been a minute since I've been on here doing a video. Life has got in the way. I've had a lot of things going on in my personal life, which has taken me away from doing videos on here. I will try to be better, and I will try to be on here and do a video at least once a week for you all. So again, like I've always said, if you have something that you would like me to talk about, if there isn't a video up already on this subject, then please put it in the comments below, or you can email me. My email will be in the description box below. But in this particular video, I'm going to be talking about the different stages of grief, what it looks like, how long you should grieve for. So if this is something that you would like to learn a little bit more about, then sit back and watch this video. So grief. I want to first off say that grief doesn't always necessarily mean that the person that you're grieving over has passed away. It also can mean situations. You can also grieve over a family pet. There are lots of ways that you can actually grieve. You can grieve the loss of your childhood. You can grieve the fact that you've moved away from your family home. You can grieve the fact that your parents have divorced. You can grieve a lot of different things. It doesn't necessarily mean that the grief is about somebody that's passed away. However, I will say that the stages of grief, the way you grieve, is the same in a sense across the board. You are gonna, even if you're grieving the loss of your family home, or your parents have separated, or you're grieving the loss of a friendship even, or the loss of a partner that's walked away from you, you're still going to go through those different stages of the same type of grief as if you actually lost somebody that, say, passed away, which is obviously the more common one and the one that we automatically associate grief with. I also would like to say that there's no one size fits all. Even though there are stages of grief, it doesn't mean to say that you have to go through them in order. And then once you've gone through them in order, then that's it, the grief is over with. You can go through these different stages of grief, and you can go back and forth for quite some time. What I would say is, if you are still in the stages of grief years after something has happened, then what I would probably suggest is that you are stuck in that grief, and getting support and help is beneficial to you. If you are somebody that's watching this video and you have recently gone through losing somebody, or you are in the process of losing somebody, or or whatever that is creating you to go through this grieving process, I am very sorry for whatever you're going through. I hope that if you are watching this, that it gives you some comfort, and support. But I also hope that you also have that behind the scenes, and you're not going through something alone. There are organisations out there for people who do struggle. So I hope that if you are on your own, that you do reach out, and you're not lonely within this. So a lot of the questions that I get asked is, how long should I grieve for? And the answer to that is, there isn't a one answer that is suitable, really, because everyone is different. Some people go through the grieving process and go straight into denial, numbness, and that's where they stay. What I would say is, people that tend to go through that, it will come out eventually. It just that it might take a period of time, years even, for it to come out. Some people go through the grieving process and they do it the way that we would all know it to be, and then they come out of it, say 6 months, even a year. Most of the time, the first year, that's not strictly true, the first 2 years tend to be the hardest, in my experience. And the reason being is because when it first happens, and we use the example of initially for losing somebody, they've passed away. When that first happens, you tend to be in the throes of everything initially. So the person, or whether it be a pet or whatever it is, you know, has passed away, and you then a lot of the time are surrounded by what happens around that. So say, for example, you know, you might be dealing with funeral directors, you might be dealing with family members, friends, people are popping around, people are making sure you're okay, or you're having to deal with everything. Maybe there's a will involved and you're having to deal with all of that. You know, so a lot of the time there's things that are kind of happening behind the scenes that are keeping you busy. So what that tends to do is distract you from the grief. It becomes a focus. I'm not saying everyone is like this, but this tends to be what happens. And the first year can be hard because that's when you go through the first birthdays, first Christmas, anniversaries, etc. of the passing of that person. And it feels like there's a focus for the grief. You know, you tend to come together with people. You have the funeral, people come together. But what can then happen is when the focus is off, and what tends to happen is people around you move on in a way. They get on with their lives. It's not that they've moved away from you, but they tend to then redirect their focus into their own lives or things that are happening for them. You are then kind of left with this, well, now what do I do? You know, I've spoken with various people, especially if that person in your life has been your focus, whether it be it's a family member you looked after, whether it's a partner, you know, or like I say, or even a family pet that has been in your life for years and has become, say, your little buddy or whatever it is, you know. And I say that because I think about my own animals and how much, you know, my dog means to me. And so I think, you know, we all have that type of focus, you know, and obviously, you know, something that could be so much worse in a way is if you lose a child. Once people sort of, you know, people tend to kind of, they're still around you, but they kind of move on and they move on with their lives, and you're kind of left with this void. And you've been so busy with throwing yourself into, like I say, the funeral arrangements, or maybe you've been looking after other family members or whatever it is, and suddenly you're just left with this, well, now what do I do? And I think that can be the moment when, in a way, it can be the hardest, because that's when the realization kicks in that this person, whoever it is, has gone. And even though, yes, you are aware of that before that, but you've been so focused on other things that you don't really sit with the reality of that person has gone and they're not coming back. And I think that's the moment when a lot of people can break down. A lot of people can feel that they don't know how to go on. They lose focus. Some even have thoughts of not being around. And like I say, this is all very normal. Some people don't go that way. Some people move through that and they distract themselves and they accept that this person has passed, and they then choose to then sort of go on and live their life. None of this is wrong. You know, if you get told by people, well, you should have moved on by now, or you shouldn't be that upset, or you shouldn't, please ignore people that say things like this. And I don't mean people that have got your best interest at heart. There are people, like, for example, if it's been years and they're saying, look, you know, I'm really worried about you. You seem very stuck in this grief. I'm concerned for your well-being. That's different. But when you're getting people that say after 6 months or even a few months are saying to you, come on, it's been a few months now, it's been 6 months now, you know, why are you still upset? Why are you still going on about it? Why haven't you not moved on from this yet? You know, everyone is different. And I think for people to have empathy with somebody that's going through the grieving process is one of the kindest things that you can do, because hopefully eventually they will come out of it themselves, but it takes time. And it also then depends on the level of love you have for somebody. I heard a saying once, and I will research who said it and I'll put it up here. The level of love you have is tantamount to the level of grief that you have is tantamount to the level of love you had. And I think it's such a wonderful saying, and it's very true. And I actually want to say, I think the late Queen said this, but I'm going to find out for sure. And I think it's such a true saying. You know, when we grieve the loss of somebody, it's a lot of the time we think about the memories that we have with that person, but it's also the loss of what could have been. You know, thinking of our lives without that person in it anymore can be very hard to fathom. And unfortunately, some people don't understand that. And that could also be because maybe they're very closed off emotionally themselves, or they don't have that level of love for somebody. They're probably maybe somebody that doesn't know how to give that part of themselves. They don't necessarily understand grief, or maybe they've got over something very quickly, and so they think everybody should be the same. Well, you know, I'm here to tell you that that's not true. You know, you're going to go through those stages, and you're going to go through them however you go through them. You know, there's going to be moments when you're going to be in denial, you're going to feel numb. Then there'll be a moment when you'll find yourself laughing about something that they've said or done. You know, and the amount of people that tell me how bad they feel when they've laughed about something. Like, I shouldn't be laughing, they've passed. Yes, you should. If there's a memory that comes up and it's a fond memory and it creates laughter, it creates warmth, and you remember them fondly, absolutely you should remember that. If it comes up organically, it's there for a reason. So never push down a moment when you remember somebody that was in your life and it's a happy memory. That's a good thing. You know, and then other people, like I say, then they feel angry. They feel angry that that person has gone. And I see this a lot, unfortunately, if someone takes their own life, there is a lot of anger that gets left behind, because a lot of the time, especially if there's no rhyme or reason why they've done it, there's no note or anything, it's like the person that's left behind is left with these unanswered questions, and a lot of that can come with anger, because it's almost as if they're left behind dealing with the repercussions of what's happened. And I get a lot of people that speak to me about this, about, you know, what creates someone to do that. And for the most part, and there are obviously differences, but for the most part, if someone feels that is their only way out, a lot of the time it's because they see no other way. And as hard as what that is to hear, I would also say that it usually doesn't have anything to do, you know, with other people. It's within themselves. But it is hard to be left behind, having to deal with the repercussions of that. But when it comes to anything else, the biggest thing I can say to you is just let it happen organically. Don't try and stop yourself from crying. Don't try and stop yourself. If you feel angry, look at why you feel angry. What's the anger about? And a lot of the time it's, you know, it's, you know, because anger, like I've said before in other videos, anger is a secondary emotion. It's not the primary. So a lot of the time, if you're angry, it could be because you feel deeply hurt. You feel that loss, or you don't understand. So you kind of go into anger to deal with that. But whatever comes up naturally for you, let it be there. Even if it's laughter, even if you're sitting around and discussing funny stories about the person, that's okay. It's okay to do that. You don't have to be wearing black and shrouded in grief. I mean, I know that some cultures do that, and there's nothing wrong with that. Again, it's a personal choice to you. Your grief is personal to you, like your love is personal to you. People love differently. So if people love differently, why can't they grieve differently? You know, you just go into different stages. But if it's starting to envelope your life and you feel that you're not able to come out of it, it's stopping you from working, it's stopping you from living, then yes, I would say that that's something to be worked on. But like I said before, there are so many ways that you can grieve, you know, and I think, you know, remember that you're allowed to feel what you feel. You know, if you are in any situation, like I say, even if it's you've lost a friend, even if it's someone that's just walked out of your life, they're still alive, but they've walked out of your life. You can grieve the loss of that friendship. You can grieve the loss of a partnership. You can grieve the loss of a job even. It's not to the same extent, obviously, but it's there. The biggest thing is allow whatever you're feeling to organically be there. If it comes up that you want to cry, cry. If it comes up that you don't. You know, I think a lot of people just get told how to think and how to feel, and they get told what's appropriate and what's not appropriate. But what's happening there is that that's somebody else putting their opinion on you of how they would deal with something. And because they deal with it differently, they expect you to deal with it the same way they do. Well, what I would say is ignore that. You know, great saying, take what you want and leave the rest. You know, if someone is giving you some advice, if there is some valid advice there and you want to take that on, great. For the rest of it, no. And you can respectfully disagree. You can say, you know what, this is my experience and I'm just going to go through this however I go through this. I really appreciate you trying to be there and offering me advice, but I'm just going to I'm going to be in this however I'm going to be in this. And I will come out of it when I'm ready. And the biggest thing, more than anything, is be kind to yourself. Stop telling yourself that you shouldn't be doing something. Stop telling yourself that you shouldn't be crying, that you shouldn't be angry, that you shouldn't laugh. No one can be more critical sometimes than how you are with yourself. And offering that kindness that you might give to somebody else, it amazes me how people are not kind to themselves. So show it to yourself. You know, if you're going through something, have people around you, the right people around you that support you. And if you are on your own, find, even if it's YouTubers like myself, you know, that can kind of help support you through that. Reach out to organisations to help support you. Write things down. I'm a big advocate for journaling. Write down, you know, because the thing is getting it out is the most important thing. Even writing it down in a journal is still getting it out. You're not internalizing it, because a lot of the time when we have that critical voice in our head, it doesn't tell us the right things. It lies to us. But like I say, the best thing is please be kind to yourself. So I hope this video has helped you in some way. Please don't let people tell you what you should or should not feel. Trust your own instincts. And eventually you will come out of this. And like I said, but if it starts to kind of bleed into years, then like I say, it's possibly potentially that you are stuck in that grief and you just might need a little bit of help to get you out of it. So I hope this video has helped you in some way, and I will be doing another one. But like I say, if you have any thing that you would like me to talk about, I do have a list, and I'm always adding to that list, and I will hopefully do a different video every single week. Please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up. I have got my subscriber count now, so I need to get my 4,000 views. 4,000 viewing hours, I think, and then I believe YouTube takes me seriously. So please support this channel. If you know somebody that could benefit from that, please share it with them. And I hopefully will see you in the next video. If you've enjoyed this, don't forget to subscribe. If you'd like to treat me to a cuppa, if you've got something from this and you'd like to treat me to a cuppa, the link is in the description box below. But yeah, in the meantime, like I say, please be kind to yourself. Have a wonderful weekend, whatever you're doing, and I will see you in the next video. So take care. Bye.